How's it going? I'm Chris Kiefer. Welcome to RacerXOnline.com with another garage build. We are here at the beautiful Blackmore Ranch today with Jay Clark's themed 1996 Honda CR250 Jeremy McGrath machine. It is beautiful. I am stoked to talk about it. And of course, you guys out there, you love nostalgia. I love nostalgia. So many memories that flash back in my head about Jeremy McGrath and the 1996 season, as well as this Honda machine. But as much excitement as there is about this machine for me, I'm a little ticked off because yes, we are Blackmore Ranch. Yes, he has a track, and no, I am not riding this thing. I would have loved to put on some old Fox gear and ride this thing, but I can't because this guy said I can't ride his bike. Normally, garage builds, we ride them, we talk about them, not this one. So we're just gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna yell at you this whole video because I can't ride it. Why can't I ride this thing?
It's just simply too nice. Way too many hours, hundreds of hours going to building one of these things. And before you say it, I know you're gonna say, hey, I could, fix it up and make it look like this again, but it's just too nice for me to think about getting all muddy out at Glen Helen. I just love it the way it is.
All right, I'll let it slide, but before we talk about the bike and how the process got to this point, a couple trivia questions. If you fail, I'm gonna go shred this thing around this park. How many wins did Jeremy McGrath have in 1996?
Oh, gosh,
Yep.
That's tough. So I'm gonna say,
So he's gonna fail this one.
he's gonna fail.
14 out of 15 races.
He won 4. Yeah,
He almost had a perfect season,
Right.
but who beat him?
MC. Emig.
Yes.
Emig got
good.
him.
In this year, 1996, what was the rumored frame that Jeremy ran on the 96 model?
94.
93. So basically, I should be shredding this park up right now because Jay sucks at Honda McGrath trivia. But again, I'm a nice guy. We'll let him slide.
He won 72 Supercrosses.
Okay, good for you, Jay. Awesome. All right, so
Jet's gonna beat that record. He says.
no, stop.
That's what I've heard.
All right, let's talk about this machine here.
Okay.
So how did this thing start? Where did you get it? Tell us the process and up until the point where it is now.
Well, first of all, this started a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, where I started gathering up some CR250s just by chance. I had one of our followers contact me and kind of donated one in bins, just a parts bins of bikes. So that's how it kind of started. And for those who have been following me and our stuff, we are building 5 of these. This is the last one to get shot. So I really thought we'd go with this McGrath themed bike because we hadn't done one like this. The others all have a unique look to them. And when I started gathering, this one was just
How much did you buy it for?
This one right here, I think, was around $300.
Okay.
Because it was just in crates and pieces. But I say that I don't think it had forks or shock, and the engine was blown. And so there's so many variables that go into it. But when you're buying it, you're getting the frame and some stuff to work with. And so there's a lot that has to be done. Every piece on these things is tough.
I feel like it's a commitment to start building these things, right? Especially if you wanted something this nice. Like making it run and riding it is one thing, but having this kind of showpiece takes a lot of love and effort, I would assume.
Well, and I warn guys too. I'm also an advocate, even though I work with a lot of the great companies that helped on this build. I'm cautious to tell guys that for the average guy, if you have a bike, and most guys that are going to buy a bike like this to start with, before prices went crazy, you could look to buy a bike like this for $1,500 to $2,000 to start. But to take it down to the frame and rebuild the engine and do all the kind of cool stuff and make it look like this, you're going to spend $4,000 to $6,000.
Right.
So I caution guys to be really careful what you're going to get into, and it has to be something you really want to have. It has to be, hey, this was my dad's first bike. This was my first bike, or whatever it is. Some sentimental value, because the financial won't make sense. That part of it won't make sense in most of these builds, and I have the ability to not make sense.
Right, exactly. So, all right, so you strip this thing down. What did we do here?
So first thing, you get the frame down. You got to look the frame over for cracks, dents, and I have a good welder buddy. We went through and fixed all those. And even the foot pegs, you know how the foot pegs, they get kind of floppy?
Yeah.
And the foot peg pins, we even weld up the holes a little bit and then file fit those so the foot peg pins fit perfect, so there's no woggle in the foot pegs. So we strengthen those up. Look for any spots like that. So we get the frame perfect. Same thing with the subframe, and we get those San Diego powder coating, then would paint the frame. And then the next thing is the engine. And the engines, every one of the bikes we did, there's hard to find a bike now that doesn't have case damage, either from a crank going out or, the counter shaft. You know how the chain would get balled up and then break the bolts there for the countershaft guide. So we'd always have to fix some cases. And again, that was a lot of work to go through and fix those cases. And then I have a good buddy, Brad, at Parapros. He would help me get the engines built. We sent the cylinders off to Tom Morgan. Another tough thing is finding good core cylinders that don't have a sleeve in them. We wanted a good stock cylinder that Tom Morgan could modify. And so getting him a good stock cylinder and head, those are tough. And so I did that. The next big thing is suspension. We went through 10 sets of suspension to make up these 5 bikes.
So you got to rob Peter to pay Paul here.
Man, we threw away so much stuff, and people don't realize that there's so much that goes into making good suspension. And these have a hard anodized. That's because the internals get worn out in the shock body and the forks. So Racetech gets those hard anodized to bring those tolerances back. And so we did that on all the suspension. And then there's so many unobtainable parts from Honda. That's the tough part, are the OEM parts you can't get, the gears. Transmission gears. So when we're going through, I had about 8 different engines that I went through to make these 5 bikes, and so went through different cases. I would search eBay, even a lot of our followers. I was able to buy some parts from a few of those guys. When I'd post something, hey, I'm looking for this, I was able to do that. And we put the 38 millimeter carb on all these bikes from the 96 bike. So we're able to get that on all the bikes and all.
So basically, it's tough. If you guys are out there looking for an older bike, especially a 1996 machine, you're not going to find OEM parts.
It's really tough. So the stuff that's hard is cases, cylinders, air boots. Those kind of things are unobtainable, let's say. But the like Wiseco and Pro X have the engine parts internally. FMF still has pipes and silencers. Plastic is still already available. Of course, bars and grips and brake lines from Galfer. And Motion Pro makes a cool updated throttle. IMS has the pegs. Spec Bolt has all the bolts for the engine and the cases. V4 still makes a reed cage. So there's still so much aftermarket stuff available. But if you run into some snags, stators, coils, again, those air boots, cases, those kind of things, and the suspension problems can hold you up. And the average guy, if you buy, say you take your suspension in, and now you need to go find different suspension because it's shot, man, you could be looking at another $1,000.
Do we have an older photo of this, what it looked like when it came to you?
Not really, because it was just
see,
parts.
I feel like that's what you need to do.
I know.
It's like start to finish.
I know.
Talking about the pipe, give us the process and what was all into this whole pipe and silencer.
So I was telling you about that. So
yeah.
So on these older bikes, companies like FMF, they don't make 5 versions of pipes. They make one because it's it's basically a 30-year-old bike. So they only make the gnarly chromed version.
And you didn't want the nickel.
No, I mean we wanted it to look. And so we got the pipe stripped, and then our buddy Robbie's Pipe Repair up in NorCal, he then buffs it, puts the coloring in there, and welds on the FMF badge for us. Also, the silencers only come in the power core length, not the shorty. So again, we shortened those by about 3.5-4 inches to get them to the right shorty length for the silencer, so it wasn't sitting out here like a trail bike. So we wanted it to look kind of more authentic to 96.
So the whole theme obviously is MC96, which is kind of cool. You got the Tom Morgan in here in the graphic.
Yeah.
So who did the graphic? Because I mean, from afar it looks exactly like an MC replica.
Right.
But now we're talking about a themed bike.
Right.
But man, it looks really close.
Yeah, and Decal Works knocked it out of the park with our design. So they kind of, he knew what I wanted to do, and Nick does our designs for us, and he's able to, incorporate the kind of look from then, but then work in some of our logos for some of the companies I work with. And then Moto Seat has the foam in the base and put the seat on. It's from Throttle Jockey, actually makes a replica of the 96. They also have a seat cover that for like the 92 to 94, the neon, that's more the pinky, or we call it nuclear red seat cover as well. So, and then this bike only had one red piece on it, plastic, and that was the front fender. The rest was all white and the black shrouds. So it was kind of a unique look at that time, and pretty cool. And there's not a ton of photos online, unfortunately. I sent you one of McGrath, but there, since that time frame, a lot of those photos aren't online. Like when you search this bike, what bike you mainly find is Roxon riding this bike at Zaca,
right?
Not at Castillo
Ranch.
Yeah. So that's the main thing. Somebody else built one, Honda had, and he did that cool video, Terra Firma video with it. So it's
a lot of problems I know with some of these older builds, because Mathis does a lot of these things as well, is the fuel tanks. Was the fuel tank in good working order, or what do we do?
Absolutely not.
Oh, so it was cracked and everything else.
They're terrible. So and they're so discolored. There are guys that will spend hours to buff them off. Clark Manufacturing, not to be confused with me, it's with an E. We call it Clark E.
The gas tank company.
Gas tank company
Right.
makes a stock size replica, so it's really nice to be able to just bolt that on. Pretty simple deal. And then even like radiators are tough to find good straight radiators, so ICW strengthens those and straightens them out for us, and they do a really good job with that. So we have a lot of great companies there that can help. And things like the wheels, we still use the stock hubs on the wheels, and just rebuilt them. Nackstar helped us with that part of it, with some rims from Excel. And then a lot of the Pro X pieces are throughout the bike with bearings and seals. When you do the linkage and swing arm, every bearing, every seal's got to be changed out. Swing arm, steering stem bearings, all those have to be changed out. And
You could just take a stab at how many hours you've had in this thing.
I was kind of thinking it's kind of hard.
Because you said hundreds.
Is
it over 100 hours of labor?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, wow.
And because it's me and Spencer and my other helper Cody and everybody else involved. So I would think one of these is easy 200 to 300 hours between everybody working on these things. And also it's a lot of coordinating, going to taking parts here, running around, taking or shipping parts here.
It's a marriage.
It's a marriage.
It's a marriage to used bikes. All right, 2 questions.
Yes.
One, does McGrath know about this bike?
No.
Has he seen it?
No.
Okay. So we got to give this to MC to see if he approves it.
Right.
And number 2, what are you doing with this thing? You're not going to ride it.
No.
I mean, you ride a lot. That's one thing I like about you. You still like to ride dirt bikes a lot. But what are we doing with this thing?
So I'm as much as I love how this bike looks and all of them, I love to start them up and smell them, but I'm not a 2-stroke guy anymore.
So you're like me.
Hey, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really enjoy 4 strokes on the track, and when they went to fuel injection, it's like it was even better.
Right.
Like, so I was already...
Sometimes our memory isn't as good as we remember, and sure, 2 strokes, I love 2 strokes. And then you ride and you're like, we're spoiled with 4 strokes. But this thing is sick. You plan on selling this thing?
That's right. There's a big show in October at Langston's. We're going to have all 5 of them on display there, and then I'm going to see what happens. I want them to go to good homes. I'm a little bit selective. I mean, somebody even contacted me and was talking about they wanted. I think it was Gary hit me up. He goes, somebody wanted to buy one to race, and I'm like, not right now.
Right.
And he goes, what do you care if they pay you? And I'm like, well,
it's sentimental value.
Right.
Yeah.
I go, and I'm not gonna. And if somebody buys it, I'm not gonna. They can do what they
want. But you don't
want.
do this to make money. You do it because you like doing this.
It's been fun, and we've had a lot of great content. We've had some good videos on our YouTube and our social, so it's been fun to do. There's a lot of 2-stroke fans, and at the end of the day, I really feel like what was cool is we saved 5 bikes' lives here. These bikes were never going to live again. Not a single one of them. They were going to be parted out on eBay or stuck in a boneyard somewhere. So.
As crazy as this sounds, when you say saving bikes' lives, as crazy as that sounds, look it. I understand it. You guys watching this, you get it. Like a motorcycle has a life. It has a heartbeat. Like it has sentimental value. So Jay is saving a lot of bikes' lives. I feel like you should make that a shirt.
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah,
I really did.
exactly.
Because it's like somebody. All 5 of these bikes, somebody bought it brand new and was smiling when they came out of the dealer, right?
Yeah.
And then it was sitting on the side of somebody's house for years, all rotten out. And so the fact that these 5 bikes could be saved, to me, is just incredible. And to be able to do this to it, to make it look as good or better than new, is a great feeling. And they run great. So if somebody does want to go run them, they're going to be stoked.
All right. So you guys out there, if you guys are watching this on YouTube or whatever, leave a comment below. Tell us your fondest memory of your 96 CR250. We read through those. I like to read through those and some of your memories that you have with your bike. But will you let us at least start this thing and fire it up so Simon can get some sound on this thing? See how good you did the jetting. Let's see how good your jetting skills are.
For sure, yes.
All right. So don't forget, Racer X magazine, 12 issues, $30. We're going to start this thing up right now and see if Jay is as good as mechanic as he says he is. So see you on the next garage build.